Chapter 4. This is what happens under socialism. The Christmas spirit had thoroughly penetrated South London, and that evening the partying had been in full swing. Johnny didn't get back to his flat until 3 a.m. He had just gone in the door and was about to throw himself on the bed for a well-deserved rest when he heard a strident voice saying loudly, "You're late!" Suddenly, in spite of all the lager he had drunk that night, Johnny felt stone cold sober. He turned around and there she was. He had practically forgotten. It was as if his mind had deliberately convinced him that the previous night's apparition had not really occurred. But here was Maggie again, sitting in his living room, and she had a stern look on her face. "Come on, Johnny. I told you I was going to bring you on a journey tonight." To Johnny's astonishment, the living room lit up, and it seemed to be daylight. Suddenly, they were in what appeared to be a council estate, and Maggie was saying, "Look at this world, Johnny. This is the north of England in 1979. Johnny looked around him at the wrecked cars and the grubby children running around and shouting. The whole environment had an aura of menace. "Observe, in this area, unemployment runs to about 45% of the working population. This is what happens under socialism." "I still think you should be bringing the Bolshevik brothers up here to see all this, not me," Johnny replied. "Trade unions, Johnny. That is a large part of the problem. They hold the country to ransom with their unreasonable demands. Something had to be done about them. Look at what they have done to the country. They have created a nation of idlers." She brought Johnny into a pub. It seemed that they could see and hear everyone, but they themselves could neither be seen nor heard. Johnny found it most disconcerting to know he must be a type of ghost. In the pub, men were drinking, playing cards and darts, and arguing about politics. "Look, Johnny, how do these men have money to spend on beer and cigarettes? They belong to a union which insists they have the right not to work. Why should unions control the supply of labour, yet expect everything to be freely available to them? This is wrong, Johnny. Unions have to be broken." At that moment there was a roar of laughter from a group of middle-aged men. "Yes, they're having a whale of a time at the taxpayers' expense," Maggie continued. "This is why there has been a massive increase in crime in this country. People feel that it is no longer fashionable to work. They pour scorn on the idea of possessing a work ethic. There was a time when the British people believed in hard work, Johnny, and yes, not just hard work, but decency. Ordinary, common, human decency. That time is no more." Johnny suddenly found himself back in his apartment. He felt intense relief. "It is an incontrovertible fact that socialists would rather the poor were poorer, provided the rich were less rich. But that way you will never create the wealth needed for better social services. Never. Poverty breeds crime, Johnny. What people long for is wealth. I hope you enjoyed our little trip today. Now I must leave you, but don't worry, I'll be back," Maggie said, and then she was gone.